It is you in the final analysis. Always you, the decisive factor. Who decide whatsoever happens, it happens because of you. This is the very key. If you are unhappy, it is you. If you are not living rightly, it is you. If you are missing, it is you. The responsibility is totally yours. Don't be afraid of this responsibility. Many people become too much afraid of the responsibility because they don't see the other side of the coin. On one side is written responsibility, on the other side is written freedom. Responsibility means freedom. If somebody else is forcing you to be in misery and you cannot get out of it, how can you get out of it? If somebody else is forcing you into misery, unless the other decides not to make you miserable, you can never get out of it. If it is you who are responsible for your misery, then it is for you to decide. If you are enjoying being miserable, be miserable thousandfold. It is no problem. Enjoy. If you are not enjoying it, then drop it. Be clear cut. What I see is people go on thinking that they want to be happy, but what can they do? They are being forced to be miserable. This is absolutely absurd. Nobody is forcing anybody. Nobody can force anybody to be miserable. A man who knows how to be happy becomes happy in any sort of situation. You cannot give him any situation in which he will not find something to be happy about. And there are persons who have learned the trick of being unhappy. You cannot give them any situation in which they will not find something to be unhappy about. Whatsoever you want to find, you will find. Life goes on supplying all sorts of things to you. You choose. I have heard 2 men were imprisoned. It was a full moon night. Both were standing near the window of their dark cell. The full moon was there. One was looking at the moon, and it was the rainy season. Must have been like these days, and there was much water and mud just in front of the window, dirty, and it was smelling and stinking. One man continued to look at the moon. The other continued to look at the mud, and the man who was looking at the mud, of course, was feeling very miserable, and the man who was looking at the moon was aflame, aglow. His face was reflecting the moon. His eyes were full of beauty. He had completely forgotten he was imprisoned. Both are standing at the same window, but they are choosing different things. There are people, if you take them to a rose bush, they will count the thorns. They are great calculators. Their mathematics is always right. And when they have counted thousands of thorns, it is simply logical that they will not be able to see the one rose flower. In fact, their inner world will say, how is it possible amidst so many thorns? How is a rose flower possible? It must be a deception. It must be illusionary, or even if it is possible, it is worthless. Then there are people who have never known the thorns of a rose bush. They look at the rose bush and looking at the rose, feeling the rose, the beauty of it, celebrating the moment. They come to feel that even thorns are not so thorn-like. Can they be when they are growing on the same rose bush as the rose flower? When their mind is focused on the rose flower, they start looking at thorns also in a different way. They start thinking that thorns are there to protect the rose flower. They are no longer ugly. They are no longer irrelevant. They are no longer anti. A positive attitude arises. It is up to you to make whatsoever you want out of your life. An enlightened consciousness makes even death beautiful. An unenlightened consciousness makes even life ugly. For an enlightened consciousness, only beauty exists. Only beauty. Bliss exists. Only bliss. So the question is not how to change ugliness into beauty, how to change pain into pleasure, how to change misery into happiness. No. The question is how to change the unconscious into the conscious, the unenlightened attitude into the enlightened attitude, how to change your inner world of being, how to attain to life affirmative values and drop life negative values.